Grab your surgical tools and clean your bathwater because it's episode 1 of George R.R. Martin's Nightflyers, and this one is extra crispy. Now, before I get started, I wanted to say I haven't read the novella this miniseries is based on, so all my theories and observations could be totally wrong for those of you who have read it. So feel free to laugh at me and tell me how far off I am. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this trip to Volcron as we uncover the secrets of Nightflyers.
Waited for this my whole life.
We open on... wait. Are those trees? Yes, trees in space, and as we'll later learn, this entire opening scene takes some time in the future, and those trees are likely from the dome, which supplies oxygen to the ship. Then we meet Dr. Agatha Matheson, where things aren't going so well. The ship has lost gravity and she's covered in blood. She heads into the med bay, and you can tell by the floating pills and this machine here, which is commonly used for blood tests. A mysterious bloody hand turns the gravity back on as Agatha informs the recorder she's picked up that the Nightflyer has sustained heavy damage and multiple fatalities. Even more concerning is that she refers to this message not as a distress call, rather a warning, stating, "Do not bring the Nightflyer back to Earth." She puts the recorder in the bio-waste disposal before she's attacked Jack Torrance style by a man we'll come to know as Rowan, the crew's xenobiologist. But she's able to fend him off, jabbing in the leg with what appears to be a meat thermometer. Check out the weird pieces of meat here too. She's able to jettison the recorder into space before taking a surgical saw and slitting her own throat. I wouldn't expect anything less from George R.R. Martin. You can make out on the side of the ship the word Eris, which is the name of the company that made the ship and also the name of the captain. We'll get into that in a bit. On Earth, a man named Carl DeBrannon is asked if he has any sickness or sores and is cleared for entry. Whatever state the Earth is in, it looks like some sort of disease or infection has taken it over. His wife, Joy, is watching the news, which shows a celio outbreak, a fictitious and deadly disease which seems to be the culprit. Carl tells Joy that he got a call from the leader of the Nightflyer. He wants to assemble a team to go after the Volcron, a mysterious alien ship Earth has been unable to communicate with. It's a mission that could potentially save the Earth, but it would mean he'd be away from his wife and daughter for at least 2 years. Carl explains to his daughter Sky that he's going to talk with these aliens, and she gives him a friendship bracelet to remember her before his memory is interrupted, and we find out we're actually 6 months in the future in the year 2093 on a shuttle dock at the Nightflyer colony. On this shuttle we meet Melantha Gerald, Carl's mission specialist, and this skittish woman Lommie Thorne, the engineer in charge of internal systems, data flow, and coding. She has a neural port that allows her to connect to ship systems and control them automatically. Mel explains they're going into the void, a dark and dangerous uncharted part of space where the Volcron is. We're also reintroduced to Agatha, who we learn is the psychologist responsible for Thale. Thale is an L1. Carl explains that L1s are telepaths who emit the same type of energy as that of the Volcron. Since all other ways of communicating with it have failed, perhaps an L1 like Thale is the key. Agatha explains she's known Thale since they were kids, and judging by the security and huge metal container he's in, his powers are quite substantial. So this big dude here goes for a little sneak peek since he thinks the L1 is waking up, and his mind is suddenly infiltrated by him, depicting him in front of this space-like image, but really what it looks like is an eye, like someone being able to see into his soul. Agatha calls this psychic feedback, claiming it's harmless. Carl shows Agatha the dome, where plants and crops are grown in space. He was able to make a deal so Thale can spend 2 hours a week down there, a mighty improvement over what Thale has gone through, living his entire life without sunshine or fresh air. And look who it is, it's Rowan the xenobiologist / Axeman, yes, the same axe-wielding murderer from the intro who ironically shakes hands with the woman he will later try to kill. She tells him he must be thrilled to be making first contact with alien life, but Rowan is skeptical. What's out there is likely far scarier than what they can imagine. At dinner we learn Carl has never actually seen Captain Eris. When Mel asks if it's true, he's never come out of his cabin. This important detail is glossed over until they're interrupted by Murphy, who is not pleased an L1 has been brought on board. No wonder they had guns pointed at Thale when he came out. Apparently L1s are murderers and were responsible for some sort of massacre on Luna 71. Luna 71, most likely a colony on the moon where something very, very bad happened. Thale, although unwanted, still might be the only thing that can communicate with the Volcron, which may unlock the powers to save their dying Earth. Augustine, Captain Eris's second-in-command, however, informs everyone that if they wish to leave the colony they may, likely an order passed on by the captain who's watching via Hal Jr. over here. And we get to meet him in the next scene, where he gives a big speech about how this mission could change the course of humanity. Yet he only arrives via a projection, leading me to believe he's not real at all, just an AI created by Eris Corp. But soon into their flight, the engines malfunction and Murphy saves the day, only to be viciously tossed by gravity. In the loading bay, these two thugs wonder if it was Thale, the L1, who somehow messed up the thrusters. One of the thugs cocks his gun and sees himself hanging, but it's all Thale's power, who can make people see things, not to mention read their minds.
You're the one who likes to wear their mummy's panties, innit?
Carl and Agatha explain Thale doesn't have the ability to alter the engine of the ship. He can access people's minds, but not the data of the ship, for example. If Agatha could talk to him for some more information, they may find some clues as to what actually happened. Agatha takes out a tranquilizer and confronts Thale, but he knows she just wants to find out if he was the one responsible for the thruster malfunction. In the corridors, Carl is haunted by the sound of a child's voice, potentially his child who we saw earlier, and since Thale isn't tranquilized yet and his cell is open, it could be him who's making Carl hear these things. Agatha then puts Thale under and sorts through some of his drawings. Look at this one here of a skull, which we'll get a better look of later. Lommie has used her neural port to gain access to the ship's data, but can't find the source of the malfunction. But even more concerning is that she's picked up that the Volcron has shifted course, making it an additional 5 months off target and deeper into the void. Carl talks to his wife about the problems on the ship, and we learn that their daughter has indeed passed away some time ago. I also got a weird vibe when he brings up Agatha that there may be some history between Carl and her we don't really know yet. Then the connection breaks up and we get this really weird distorted skull face, which makes me think of that drawing of Thale's. Is it him controlling it, but I thought he's tranquilized? Is it just a bad connection, or is it something more sinister? In the hulls of the ship, Carl seems to be haunted by his daughter in a creepy red coat as the windows of the ship freeze up. Now this would have to be a dream or vision, since windows in space wouldn't freeze up like this. In Agatha's cabin, she goes over Thale's drawings, and we get a better look at the skull drawing, which reminds me a lot of H.R. Geiger. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Anyways, he did a lot of the artwork for Alien. Even creepier is his drawing of Agatha in the shower here. Carl arrives asking if she got anything from Thale, and he finds the drawings, even one of his daughter. Agatha says those drawings are what other people on the ship are seeing. Carl tells her Thale's making him see things, but Agatha says L1's under suppression can't do that. Mal comes back from a run only to be perved by Captain Eris, who explains he's never had a genetically modified human on board, thus he finds her fascinating. She's been genetically designed to best adapt for space travel. We also learn that Eris has never been to Earth, once again another hint that he's not human, but even more damning is him wanting to get a glimpse of someone's soul. And of course an AI or program would want to know more about that since they can never have a soul. Carl visits Rowan, unsure that Agatha can properly handle Thale for their eventual meeting with the Volcron. And Rowan makes a good point here. They've tried every means of communication, but the Volcron just won't respond. How is an unruly, childish empath going to be the best first step forward in contacting an alien civilization that could wipe them all out? He even goes so far as to call humans a virus that have killed their host, Earth, and are now desperately looking for a new one. Mel takes one of those futuristic showers like in Empire Strikes Back when the tank malfunctions. She even sees a vision of her own head floating in the tank next to hers. Lommie, being logged into the system, is able to see the malfunction and rushes to save her. What I find even creepier than Thale seemingly controlling this situation is Captain Eris watching it unfold and doing nothing. There's a lot going on here we've yet to discover. Under the dome, Thale has his first session among the plants and soil. He tells Agatha that he's not responsible for putting thoughts into Carl's head, which either means he's lying or there could possibly be another L1 on board, or maybe even something else. Carl wants to bring him to see Captain Eris and sets up a perimeter around Thale. Sensing he may be put to sleep permanently, Thale retaliates, incapacitating the guards and making them spontaneously vomit. But before he can do any more damage, he's shot in the neck with a tranquilizer dart.
I can feel it like it's right in my neck! Run!
When Thale awakens, highly sedated, he tells Captain Eris he can't feel his thoughts. Obviously, because he's a projection. Eris demands that for the safety of the ship, Thale be put offline so he can run diagnostics, and Agatha complies. Lommie comes to check up on Mel, and they discuss whether Thale could have controlled Lommie's mind when she had access to the ship. And then they discuss some other stuff. Carl goes back to the memory room to see her daughter blowing a daffodil in her red coat, just like in Thale's drawing. He asks to stop the memory playback, but it malfunctions. And yes, malfunctioning seems to be a very recurrent theme here, and he's haunted by memories of her daughter, which he says that's not how it happened. Finally, he manages to escape just as his daughter's elongated hand reaches out for him. Carl confronts Agatha, claiming she didn't properly medicate him. He'll need to see for himself that Thale's been properly sedated. They go to his cell, but someone has sprung him loose. Now, it's possible it could be Agatha who did it, but we're just not certain yet. Captain Eris arrives moments later, and when they ask to check the security cameras, apparently someone has breached the system, and all of them went dark. Carl and the team decide they need to find Thale before the captain's men do, or it's gonna be a bloodbath for everyone on board. Mel even smashes the vidcon so the captain can't listen in. Lommie hooks herself up, and we're reintroduced to Murphy, who's been instructed to get the cameras back online. Lommie malfunctions another malfunction while navigating the ship neuropathically, and there's nothing anyone else can do because taking her out of that state would imprison her in there. Then she does her best audition for Get Out. Before awakening and rushing away. Down in the pipes, Murphy tries to fix the problem when he's confronted by Thale, who turns his gun into a bleeding heart. Rowan finds the system going into firewall breach mode as the camera Mel smash turns dark red, ominously similar to HAL in 2001: A Space Odyssey. Murphy's been charred to bits. Seriously, that guy has not had a good day, as the crew continues their search, and the Nightflyer carries on into the vast expanse of space. So this episode leaves a ton of unanswered questions. Is it Thale really controlling all of these visions, or is something else at play here? Who is Captain Eris, and are his intentions good? And of course, what will happen when they eventually reach the Volcron? In a December where not much is coming out, this may be a good show to pass the time, so let me know if you want me to keep doing breakdowns, or if you just want me to do one final ending explain video. Love to hear your theories and thoughts below, and until next time, Daddy loves you very much.